art of influencing a student is to influence the student to influence himself. And this will never be done through coercion. Now, being proactive, which is what we're going to do in the raised responsibility system, does not mean informing students ahead of time. Somehow, we got this idea that it's only fair to tell a student what's going to happen. Immediately, my thinking was there's something fundamentally wrong with this approach, even though it sounds right and sounds just. And the reason why it's wrong is when you tell kids ahead of time what's going to happen, you are reducing their risk. A kid says, well, nothing happens until I'm tired of class 3 times. So squander the first 2 times. Not knowing is so much more effective. Let me give you an idea. Jason is having a pretty difficult day today, and I'll just walk over to Jason and whisper in his ear after you've done something which is inappropriate, Jason, don't worry about what's going to happen. We'll talk about it after class. Now, what's Jason going to think about until class is over? What's going to happen? How did I do it? I have diverted his action by diverting his thinking process because he does not know what's going to happen. And the point, not knowing what is going to happen is so much more powerful than knowing. So, there's another reason why I don't tell kids ahead of time what's going to happen, and that simply is because I don't know. What we're going to do to help the kid help himself will depend upon the circumstance. It's going to depend upon the kid himself. It may depend upon the situation in the classroom that day. We are professionals. Therefore, we don't have a list of things that we're going to follow. You can hire a clerk to do that. You use your good judgment at all times. So, for example, if 2 kids are fighting, you don't go up to them and ask them a simple question, as we'll talk about later on. You use your professional judgment and you become successful as a professional by, I'm recycling again, don't assume kids know what you want them to do. Talk to yourself and to your kids in a positive way. Always give them an option or a choice. And hone into the skill of asking reflective questions, which is built into the raised responsibility system. Now, the system itself is a hierarchy. And you may be familiar with some hierarchies, such as Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or Lawrence Kohlberg's hierarchy of moral development. And this is somewhat of an offshoot of that. And you're probably familiar with Jean Piaget's hierarchy of cognitive development. Unfortunately, most of us get his hierarchy wrong. Of course, what Piaget said was that a kid at 3 cannot do something that a kid at 13 can do because he's not quite developed academically or emotionally enough to handle some more sophisticated academic materials. So what we do, without even realizing it, is we think that kids don't have feelings. An infant will smile, an infant will cry. All humans have feelings. What they do not have is the same level of cognitive or emotional development. And so often we work with kids as if they don't have feelings, but they have the same cognitive approach, maturity that adults have. So, with a hierarchy, and the reason why I use the hierarchy is there's something in it that the human being wants to get to the highest level. I'm going to share with you 4 ideas of the hierarchy. I want to mention a few things ahead of time. You may become a little not too comfortable with the words. For example, I'll use the term anarchy. I'm not teaching anarchy, I'm teaching levels of social development. And you'll also notice that level A is at the bottom and level D is on top. And you may think, well, kids are going to get confused because in grading, level A is on top. Kids don't get confused. When do you use or spell the word to, T-O, or T-W-O, or T-O-O? It depends upon the context. We only have 26 letters in the English alphabet, so of course they're going to be used over and over again. Using A, B, C, and D in grading is a totally different context than using it in terms of acting responsibly or the hierarchy of social development. So, there are only 4 concepts that kids need to learn. Of everything I'm sharing with you, they only need to learn 4 concepts represented by 4 words. And you can teach this to your students the very next teaching day. You don't have to wait till the beginning of the semester. What you can say is something like, I attended a seminar, or I read something, I saw something that I think is really going to be productive for us. And so, this is what it is. I'm going to share with you 4 concepts. And here's what they are. By the way, after I teach the levels, I never refer to the word itself. I only refer to A, B, C, or D. So here we go. Here is the hierarchy of social and really personal development. My recommendation is you do the exact same thing I do when I taught my students these concepts and when I put on a seminar. And by the way, this is what I do. I go to schools around the world, and I put on seminars. So here's what I have them do. I have them take out a sheet of paper and just fold it like a hamburger. That is, instead of lengthwise, you just fold it horizontally. And then I have them write the word, or print the word, anarchy. Then, and again you can use this for any grade level, you have the youngsters conjure up in their mind what it would be like if there was chaos, if there are no rules or regulations. Anybody could do what they want. And then I have them draw stick figures, and then right above the fold, they drew, or they describe what they drew, what they had under chaos or anarchy. Next thing I have them do is at the bottom of the fold, the bottom part of the paper, I have them write the word bullying or bothering. And I have them conjure up a mental image of them where there's someone is bothering or bullying somebody else. And then again, they draw it and then they describe it. And then have them turn the page over. And at the top I have them write cooperation or conformity. And I have them draw something where people are doing what is appropriate, standing in line properly. Then again I have them draw the scene and then write it down. The fourth one, perhaps maybe the most difficult, the word is democracy. Conjure up a scene where someone is taking the initiative to do something that is right simply because it is right. Draw it, and then describe what you drew. The next thing I have them do is, with one learning buddy, share what each of them conjured up. The reason why I had them do this is because if I would have shown pictures first, that's what they would remember. But people remember what they do themselves. And so the simplest way to explain the 4 levels to your kids is to have them go through this exercise and have it relate to the classroom. What would chaos, even in a kindergarten class, look like with stuff all over the place? What would level B, bullying or bossing, look like in our classroom? What would level C look like, where you're doing what you are expected to do? What would level D look like, where without anybody telling you, you did something because you took, and here is the key word, the initiative to do it because it was simply the right thing to do. The 4 levels can be taught in any subject area, in any grade level, in any school, and in any home. And the reason being that anarchy for a kindergarten kid is going to be totally different than anarchy for a class in world history, where you take a look around and you can see so much anarchy around the world.